Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Reading in the Dark. Byron here. I am here to announce my participation in yet another read-a-thon. I was watching a TBR video from Books and Lala and decided to follow suit immediately and join a read-a-thon called the Contemporary-A-Thon. This is a read-a-thon that is it's a 7-day read-a-thon, and I actually do not know any of the ladies who are hosting the event. However, it is hosted by actually 3 different booktubers, Chelsea, Natasha, and Julie. So I just made my really belated wrap-up for Booktubeathon, which was a very long time ago. So for a minute, I sort of thought maybe I should cool it with the readathons. But actually, I think it's just a really great way of staying motivated. And I know I will not read 7 books in 7 days. It can't happen. What I've decided to do this time around is to be a little bit more realistic. So my goal, my hope, is to read 5 books in the 7 days. And this readathon, Contemporary-A-Thon, starts very, very soon, day after tomorrow, on the 17th, Monday the 17th, and runs for a week through Sunday the 23rd. I read a lot of sci-fi, a lot of dystopia and stuff. So there's like a lot of the books that I actually have in my TBR are not eligible. They're not really considered contemporary. I want to say that it was Julie? What she said was a book that is set in our time or is set in the time during which it was written that does not include magic. So generally speaking, sci-fi, things set way in the future, or historical novels are going to be out. So as I was going through these challenges, I had a hard time. Anyway, I'm talking for too much time about all of these challenges before I even get to them, so I'm just going to skip ahead now. There are 7 challenges, and I have tripled up on one of them. I'm going to take a drink of water because so much talking. You can watch me drink water, I guess, if you want. I should change my thing. Read more books, drink more water, because that's actually important. I do have coffee, though, of course, in a bright pink mug. So the first challenge is to read a contemporary with orange on the cover. Now, there's orange on the cover of a couple of the books that I wanted to read, but the one that I chose, ironically, the cover that I have has orange on the cover, but it's not the cover that most people will have seen, so whatever. But I wanted to read this for so long. Blindness by José Saramago. This book was, I think it was like the recipient of the Nobel Prize for Literature. And the cover that I've seen more often is black and white. And that's actually a cover that I sort of prefer. But the cover that I have in my ebook is this cover. And it has orange on the cover. So I chose that because also I just really wanted to read this book. This is a book about a city that undergoes a epidemic of white blindness. So basically, lots of people are going blind suddenly, but instead of seeing darkness, they're just seeing bright white light. So they're blind, but instead of it being dark, it's light. Anyway. So I don't know if there's like a racial metaphor there going on, and I don't actually have any idea like the larger picture of what this book is about, but I read the first chapter or so as a preview on my Kindle, and it was absolutely riveting immediately. And it was published originally, my goodness, 1998, I think. So actually, it's a little bit older, but again, it was contemporary at the time. It's our world with one significant detour, which is the idea of this blindness, which is just a dystopian speculative fiction aspect that I think is really cool. There's actually a sequel to this book called Seeing, which I didn't know that until I started getting ready for this video, which is crazy. So I'm definitely going to read that once this challenge is over. I had no idea that that existed. So, blindness. The second challenge says to read a dark, spooky contemporary. What I chose to read was The Wild Inside by Christine Carbo, or Carbo. This is a story about surviving in the wilderness amongst lots of dangerous animals in the Montana countryside, basically. And I really like the cover. I've never read a thriller set in the great outdoors, so it should be kind of interesting. Go to my TBR for this, which is already on my Goodreads Contemporary-A-Thon. Yeah, The Wild Inside is from 2015. Haunting crime novel set in Glacier National Park about a man who finds himself at odds with the dark heart of the wild and the even darker heart of human nature. So dark. Like it literally says dark, spooky, contemporary, and the word dark is in the first sentence of this blurb, like 5 times. It takes place in 2 different time periods or several different time periods. I believe the contemporary section of this book is like current, because it says 20 years ago, and that was 87, so 2007, close enough. Part of it is contemporary. In any case, contemporary, 2007. I'm good with that. I'm very excited to read this book as well. The third challenge says to read a diverse contemporary, which I think is kind of awkward wording. I'm pretty sure this means to read a book that is either written by or about, members of a minority group that is different from your own. I considered reading like a Christopher Rice thriller. There's one I wanted to read called Density of Souls, but I am a gay man, and the fact that that thriller sort of is unique for featuring a lot of gay characters actually makes that not diverse from me. So I chose to read a different book, which also takes care of challenges 5 and 7. So this is like the odd number challenge book. The House of Broken Angels by Luis Alberto Urrea. And this, I actually listened to an interview with the author on Writers on Writing a couple of months ago, where the author was talking about how his own, I think it was his father who passed away, and there was a funeral, and then there was a party to celebrate the life of the man who had passed, and just sort of the intersection of all the different parts of his family. And it's really a celebration of his Mexican heritage. And he was so charming and funny and just real and great to listen to on the interview that I knew I had to read the book. It was apparently a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize. This was published in, I think it was published, was it this year? Yep. Yeah, it was published in March of 2018, I think. Let's see what the blurb says. The definitive Mexican-American immigrant story. It's sprawling and epic. Yeah, this book does go back and tell a lot of the history of this narrator's family, in addition to sort of bringing it up to date then with the contemporary situation, which is the funeral. So it counts. This book also has orange on the cover, so that's cool. It also fulfills challenges 5 and 7. Challenge 5 says, read a contemporary that has your initials somewhere on the cover. So, on this cover, my initials are BKD. So, obviously the word broken has B and K in it, and then I got the D from the name of the man with the blurb at the top, who says it is one of the most vivid and engrossing family epics of the last 20 years, Dave Eggers. D. So, BKD. All right, and then the 7th challenge is read a contemporary that is a 5-star prediction. And again, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this book. Ever since I listened to him on that interview, I was looking forward to it. It's so well thought of. I mean, and seriously, it's a Pulitzer Prize finalist. So this has to be a beautiful book. And I've read the first few pages, and they're funny and human and real and great. And I'm super looking forward to reading it. And I really do expect it to be a 5-star read for me. It's the first time I've ever predicted a 5-star book, so hope I'm right. But yeah, so I kind of skipped around just now, but that's because this book is for multiple challenges. House of Broken Angels by Luis Alberto. My pronunciation of Spanish is not great. Oh, Philip. Okay, here we are. We're saying hello. Say hi. Say hi to the people. Hi, people. Prince Philip. Okay, go down. That's Philip. The 4th challenge is to read a contemporary in a non-traditional format. Now, I am going to be reading Asymmetry by Lisa Halliday. This is a book that is told in 3 separate novellas, and 2 of them appear to be totally unrelated based on some reviews that I've read, and then a 3rd novella is told in the format of an interview. So apparently this is a sort of experimental novel, and I thought, okay, so that sounds neat and unusual. I've never read a book like that before, and obviously I think that's non-traditional, so that works. So, Asymmetry by Lisa Halliday. Also, isn't this cover cool? Oh, and also, what is that book about? I have no idea. It's extraordinary. Halliday has written Somehow All at Once, a transgressive Roman A. clef, a novel of ideas and... Okay, what is it about? It'll make you a better reader. A singularly inventive and unforgettable debut novel about love, luck, and the inextricability of life and art. Told in 3 distinct and uniquely compelling sections, Asymmetry explores the imbalances that spark and sustain many of our most dramatic human relations. Okay, this is very vague. The first section tells the story of Alice, a tender and exquisite account of an unexpected romance that takes place in New York during the early years of the Iraq War. The second novella is narrated by Ammar, an Iraqi-American man who, on his way to visit his brother in Kurdistan, is detained by immigration officers and spends the last weekend of 2008 in a holding room in Heathrow. And then there's a third section that's an unexpected coda that's told as an interview. So anyway, very interesting. It looks like one of those web of people that intersect in ways you wouldn't expect sort of things. I could be 100% wrong. It's also rather short. It's only 277 pages. So I still don't know what order I'm going to read these in, but if I'm starting to feel overwhelmed, maybe I'll go to that one because it's the shortest book in my challenge. The 6th challenge says to read a contemporary from an author that is new to you. So I have chosen to stretch things a little bit. I'm reading a book called Mother of Invention by, and I don't know how to pronounce this woman's name. I think Caeli, because she was interviewed, but I could be wrong. Caeli. Caeli, Wolfson-Widger. I could find out, but clearly I'm not going to do that. So, Mother of Invention, Silicon Valley executive. Basically, this is a book that is set in the near future about a woman who works for a company that develops a technology that will shorten the pregnancy period for a pregnant woman to, 1 month, I think? A breakthrough procedure that safely accelerates human pregnancy from 9 months to 9 weeks. Okay, so not 1 month exactly, but like 2 months, basically. And I think it has a lot to say about the state of women's ownership of their own bodies and the reproductive process. So it's sort of like an allegorical, possibly dystopian sort of treatise on that very topical issue. And I also heard about this book on Writers on Writing, and it sounded really fascinating. And I love this cover. Is this not, I don't know, there's something about this cover that is just like fascinating to me. I love it. There's something about this woman made up of like threads and fibers and like, I don't know, is that like DNA? I don't know. So I love the cover. Mother of Invention. This actually was just published May 22nd, 2018 for... yeah, all of the editions. So this is a brand new book, basically. I'm actually really excited to read this one. And although it is set in like 2021, so it's only like 3 years in the future. So I think that's fine. And again, just like with Blindness, it's the contemporary world that we live in plus like one speculative aspect. So that is going to be the book that I read for my 6th challenge, Mother of Invention, by Caeli Wolfson-Widger. So I have 5 books and I've met the 7 challenges, but since some of them doubled up, that's confusing. So just to go back over it. Challenge 1, orange on the cover, Blindness. Challenge 2, dark, spooky, contemporary, The Wild Inside. Challenge 3, diverse, contemporary, House of Broken Angels. Challenge 4, non-traditional format, Asymmetry by Lisa Halliday. Challenge 5, contemporary that has your initials on the cover, House of Broken Angels. Challenge 6, contemporary from a new-to-you author, Mother of Invention. And Challenge 7, a contemporary that is a 5-star prediction, House of Broken Angels. So those are my 5 books. Now, when you add up all the pages, as in terms of the pages that they give you for Kindle books, which again, I don't know what that means. Because pages in an ebook to me is confusing, and if they're going to put page numbers, then I would expect that to be the same page number as the hardcover or the paperback, since there aren't any actual pages on the Kindle. But it's not. It's always a different number, and I don't understand why. Maybe someone can explain that to me. But they haven't yet, so I don't know. Anyway, I'm going off the page number listings from Kindle versions. But so I have, between these 5 books, 1,743 pages to read in this challenge, which brings the average per book to 349 pages per book. And that means I have to read 249 pages per day. That is theoretically possible, but when I look at it that way, I get a little bit overwhelmed. So we'll see. I really do hope that I can finish all 5. There are days when I can just like come home from work and immediately start reading. And so, maybe that'll happen a lot this week. And if so, then I'll get through them all. As I said before, I'm going to link the videos from the 3 ladies that are hosting the event, Chelsea, Natasha, and Julie, below. But I'm also going to link to Books and Lala's Contemporary-A-Thon TBR, which is what alerted me to this read-a-thon happening. And I'm also going to link to the Writers on Writing podcast that I keep referring to, because it's a great podcast. Excuse me. If you're at all interested in writing, or if you just like hearing writers talk about their writing in more detail, Writers on Writing is an amazing podcast. The interviews are, some weeks they have two authors, and so they're both interviewed for about a half an hour. And other weeks they'll have someone on for an entire hour, and it's like interviewing authors about their work from the perspective of another writer, as opposed to, it's not a marketing interview. They don't spend a lot of time talking about, like, you know, did you rip this from the headlines? You know, they talk a little bit more about craft, and they talk a little bit more about what the author struggled with, and, you know, they're just generic thoughts on writing. Hence the title, Writers on Writing. Ooh, I have a text message. So that's a great podcast, and I'm going to link to that, and you may really enjoy that if you're into writing or just want to know more about some of these authors' processes. So I'll link all that below, and starting on the 17th, Monday, I will start reading away. Wish me luck. I'm about to upload this video, and then hopefully by tomorrow I'll upload my Thriller-a-thon wrap-up, which is also belated, but I'm so weird that I just have to do separate wrap-ups for everything, even when I'm behind, because I really am. The other ridiculous impossibility is that I would like to try and finish the second book in the Mary Renaud Alexander the Great trilogy that I'm reading right now, which is The Persian Boy, before this challenge starts. But I'm only 20% of the way in, and I only have tonight and all of tomorrow to read it, and I work tomorrow, so probably that's not going to happen. So most likely what will happen is The Persian Boy will be put on hold until this read-a-thon is over, and I guess that's okay. The Mary Renaud books are beautifully written, and they're chock full of history, but they're out of my comfort zone, and they take longer for me to read. So if I do put it on pause, I don't think that's going to be the end of the world. I'm excited about this read-a-thon, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Subscribe to my channel. I'm enjoying doing this whole booktube thing, so encourage me, I guess, if you would like to see me continue. I'll probably continue even if you don't. Enjoy your reading journey, and if you are interested in taking part in Contemporary-A-Thon, follow the links in the description below and make your own TBR and read along. And until next time, remember to read more books, drink more coffee, but don't forget to sleep. Thanks, guys. Happy reading.